What is the nature of mind? Why your mind never stops. Buddhist wisdom. Here's something strange. You use your mind every waking moment, yet you probably can't explain what it actually is. You know your thoughts. You feel your emotions. You make decisions, remember the past, imagine the future. It all happens in your mind. In that sense, nothing is more familiar to you than your own mind. And yet, can you stop it? Can you pause it, even for a moment? Try it now. Stop thinking for just 3 seconds. No commentary, no inner voice, complete silence. What happened? If you're like most people, the moment you tried to stop, another thought appeared. Okay, I'm trying to stop now. Then another. Is this working? Then maybe, this is harder than I thought. The mind doesn't stop. Even when you sleep, it keeps going. Dreams, half-conscious thoughts, processing the day. It runs without your permission. So here's the real question. If you can't control it, if you can't even pause it for 3 seconds, then who's really in charge? Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." But that assumes there's a you separate from the thinking. Someone sitting behind your eyes, pulling the levers. What if that's not true? What if there's no separate thinker, just thinking happening on its own? This might sound abstract, but it's not. This question touches everything. Why you suffer, why you can't find lasting peace, why even your happiest moments eventually fade into worry or restlessness. The Buddha didn't call the mind a thing. He used the word citta, a process, a flow, something always moving. Not a self having experiences, but experience itself arising moment by moment, so fast you can't catch it. Not something that changes, but change itself. And here's what matters. If you can see this, really see it, not just understand it intellectually, everything shifts. Because understanding the mind isn't philosophy. It's seeing the source of suffering and the door to freedom. That's what we're going to explore. The 2 layers of mind. Right now, as you read this, your mind is doing more than you realize. Your eyes are scanning these words. Maybe you hear sounds around you, traffic, voices, the hum of a fan. You feel the weight of your body, the temperature of the air. And somewhere in the background, thoughts are moving. Maybe about what you're reading, maybe about what you need to do later, maybe something completely random. It seems like all of this is happening at once. The Buddha called these the 6 sense doors: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mind itself. Each one is like an open doorway through which experience flows in, moment after moment. And here's the thing. You're not creating any of it. You're not choosing what you see or hear. It just happens. The Buddha said it simply in the suttas. When the eye meets a form, eye consciousness arises. When the ear meets a sound, ear consciousness arises. It's automatic, like breathing. These are what we might call the surface waves of the mind, the obvious activity you can notice if you pay attention. But there's something deeper that most people never discover. Imagine standing on a beach, watching waves roll in. They're easy to see, rising, breaking, crashing on the shore. But beneath those waves, deep underwater, there are massive currents flowing. Rivers of water moving through the ocean depths, shaping everything, carrying everything, completely invisible from the surface. The mind works the same way. The early Buddhist masters in the Abhidhamma described this hidden layer as bhavanga, the life continuum. It's a passive flow that the mind falls back into between active moments of seeing, hearing, thinking. Not consciousness in the usual sense, but an underlying current that maintains continuity. Think about deep sleep. No dreams, no thoughts, no awareness of anything. Is your mind turned off? Your first instinct might be to say yes, but actually, something is still running. Your heart beats, your body regulates itself, and when you wake up, you still know who you are. There's continuity. That's bhavanga, a baseline flow that keeps life going when there's nothing else happening. Interestingly, modern neuroscience has found something similar, what researchers like Antonio Damasio call the proto-self. The brain continuously maps the body's internal state, maintaining basic life functions even when you're not consciously aware. It's not the same as the Buddhist concept, but it points to something comparable. An ongoing process beneath awareness that keeps everything running. But this deep layer isn't just neutral. It's connected to what the Buddha called anusaya, latent tendencies. Think of them as grooves worn into the mind by repeated experience. They lie dormant in the depths until the right conditions trigger them. This is why certain things set you off instantly, even when you don't know why. Why you react to certain people in ways that surprise you. Why the same patterns keep showing up in your life, in relationships, in work, in how you treat yourself. You didn't consciously decide on these patterns. They formed over time, shaped by experience, and now they sit in the depths as latent tendencies, waiting. Here's how it works. Most of the time, this deep flow of bhavanga just continues quietly, like a river moving through a dark forest. You're not aware of it. Then something happens. A loud noise, a familiar face, a sudden memory. That interruption causes the bhavanga to vibrate and break. The mind turns toward the sense door. Consciousness arises. You become aware. You perceive, you recognize, you react. Then, when the moment passes, the mind settles back down into that deep current again, waiting for the next thing to stir it. This happens constantly, moment after moment, faster than you can track. So rapidly it seems continuous, like frames in a film creating the illusion of smooth movement. Most people live their entire lives only aware of the surface waves. They think the waves are all there is. But underneath, there's this deeper process flowing, carrying everything, shaping everything. And if you want to understand why your mind works the way it does, why you suffer, why peace is so hard to find, you have to look deeper than the surface. The moment everything changes. We've seen the two layers, surface and depths. But here's what really matters. Where does change actually happen? Where in this vast ocean of consciousness do you have any say in what unfolds? Because the Buddha discovered something extraordinary. There's a specific moment, a precise window in the flow of experience, where everything is decided, where karma is created, where your future is being shaped, and most people miss it completely. Let me show you what happens. Imagine you're sitting quietly. That deep stream of bhavanga is flowing beneath. Then suddenly, ding! A bell rings. The sound hits your ear. The stream vibrates and breaks. The mind turns toward the sound, what the Abhidhamma calls the five-door adverting, pankadvara vajana. Consciousness arises at the ear door. Sound. There's sound. just pure knowing. Then recognition kicks in. Oh, that's a bell. A temple bell. Throughout this process, feeling, Vedana, is present, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, accompanying each moment of consciousness. And here, right here, everything changes. What happens next is called jhavana in Pali, literally impulsion, or rushing forward, like a wave crashing with force. The mind runs through this experience multiple times in rapid succession, typically 7 moments in a single process. This is where karma is born. You've heard the bell. You know it's a bell. But how do you react? Maybe irritation arises. Ugh, that bell again. Who keeps ringing that? These jhavana moments run with aversion, with resistance. And each time they run, they're planting seeds. Seeds of more irritation. Seeds that make it more likely you'll be annoyed next time. Seeds shaping who you're becoming. Or maybe something different happens. Appreciation blooms. Ah, the temple bell. How beautiful. Those moments run with joy, with peace. They're planting different seeds. Seeds of openness, seeds of connection, seeds of gratitude. Or maybe nothing particular arises. You hear it neutrally and move on. That's planting seeds too. Seeds of equanimity, of letting things be. After these critical jhavana moments, there may be 1 or 2 brief moments of registration, tadaramana, before the mind drops back into that deep stream of bhavanga, waiting for the next wave. This entire process happens extremely rapidly, moment after moment in quick succession. Here's why this matters. Look at that whole process again. Much of what happens is automatic. The sound comes in, consciousness arises, the mind registers and recognizes. That's biology, the natural functioning of a human organism. You don't control any of that. But that middle section, where the reaction happens in those jhavana moments, where you respond to what you've experienced, that's different. That's the only place where freedom lives. Not total control. You can't just decide to feel joy when rage is arising. But you can have awareness there. You can create a tiny gap. And in that gap, different reactions become possible. Different seeds can be planted. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is precisely that moment, the one place where you actually have power. This is why mindfulness isn't just about feeling calm. It's about catching this precise moment, this window where karma is being created constantly throughout the day. If you can be aware right there, right when the reaction is forming, you have a chance. A chance to not automatically run the same old pattern. A chance for something different. Instead of irritation, maybe patience. Instead of greed, maybe contentment. Instead of fear, maybe courage. This is where human beings can transform themselves, not by controlling everything, but by being awake at the one place where choice actually exists. This is where the profound healing of old patterns begins. Why the mind never stops. We've understood how the mind works, where karma is created. But there's still the big question. Why? Why does this ceaseless flow continue? Why does the mind never truly stop? In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "The mind is restless, unsteady, difficult to guard, difficult to control." In another teaching, he compared the untrained mind to a monkey swinging through the forest, leaping from branch to branch, never settling. He went further, saying he had never seen anything that changes as quickly as the mind, faster than anything else in the world. But why? What keeps it moving? The answer lies in what the Buddha called paticca samuppada, dependent origination. The mind continues because it's sustained by conditions. And as long as those conditions exist, the process continues. There are three main conditions, three roots, that keep the mind moving endlessly. The first is lobha, craving, wanting, desire. Every time you want something, a cup of coffee, a new experience, recognition, even peace, the mind moves. It reaches out, seeks, plans, imagines. Then when you get what you wanted, a moment of satisfaction maybe, but soon a new desire appears. The cycle never ends. The philosopher Schopenhauer saw this too. He called it the will to live, a blind, insatiable force driving all beings. He wrote, "Life swings like a pendulum backward and forward between pain and boredom. You suffer when you don't get what you want. And when you do get it, after a brief moment of satisfaction, boredom sets in and you're looking for the next thing." The second root is dosa, aversion, resistance, fear. When there's something you don't want, an uncomfortable feeling, a painful situation, a difficult memory, the mind moves away from it. It pushes, resists, denies, creates stories to justify the resistance. This movement never stops either. The third root is moha, delusion, not seeing reality clearly. This is the deepest one. Because we don't see the true nature of things, that everything is impermanent, that there's no fixed self, that clinging always leads to suffering. We keep looking for happiness in places it can't be found. The mind keeps running, seeking, hoping for something permanent in a world where nothing lasts. This delusion shows up most powerfully in our belief in a solid, unchanging self. We walk around with this deep conviction. I am me. This is who I am. And that I feels real, solid, like something that needs to be protected, satisfied, validated. So the mind never stops. It becomes a tireless defender of this self, constantly comparing, acquiring, striving to maintain something that doesn't actually exist in the way we think it does. These three roots, craving, aversion, delusion, are always present, always working. Like a wheel spinning, each revolution creating momentum for the next. And because they're always there, the mind keeps moving. But here's the beautiful part, the hopeful part. If the mind continues because of conditions, then when those conditions change, the mind can be different. Not stopped, because movement is its nature, but free. Free from the suffering of being swept away. Free from the exhaustion of endless craving. And this is exactly what Buddhist practice teaches us to do, not to stop the mind, but to transform the conditions that sustain it. The way to freedom. We arrive at the question that matters most. Is there a way out? Can the mind find peace? Can you stop being carried away by this endless flow? The answer is yes, but not in the way you might think. Here's the paradox. To find peace with the mind, you don't try to stop it. Every effort to stop is just another form of wanting, another subtle craving. Instead of controlling, you simply observe. The Buddha taught sati, mindfulness, not doing something to the mind, but simply seeing the mind as it is. Remember those critical jhana moments where karma is created. That's where mindfulness becomes your doorway to freedom. When you sit down to practice, a thought appears. Instead of getting involved in it, you just watch it arise, like a bird flying across the sky. In that simple, clear seeing, a gap emerges between awareness and the thought. You realize, I'm not that thought. I'm what's watching. The thought comes and goes, but this awareness is something different, more fundamental. An emotion rises, sadness, anger, fear. Instead of drowning in it or pushing it away, you just observe. You feel the sensations in your body. You notice the urge to react, but you don't have to follow it. You're just watching, like watching weather pass through. Carl Jung wrote, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms." This is mindfulness, allowing experience to transform through awareness. And something begins to shift. With this awareness, thoughts and emotions lose their power to overwhelm you. Real healing happens not by eliminating difficult emotions, but by changing your relationship to them. When you observe with clear, gentle awareness, seeing them as passing weather rather than solid truths, the tension releases. Old wounds begin to heal, not through struggle, but through compassionate acceptance. Gradually, with consistent practice, you discover something the Buddha called viveka, an inner spaciousness, a profound sense of peace. Not about being alone or withdrawn from life. It's a stillness that isn't disturbed by whatever's happening on the surface of your mind or in the world around you. Thoughts still come. Sensations still arise. Life still has its ups and downs. But underneath it all, there's a deep okayness, a peace that doesn't depend on controlling your experience, but rests in the unwavering presence of awareness itself. People often ask, when someone becomes fully awakened, does the mind finally stop? No. Even an arahant, someone fully liberated, still has a functioning mind. They still see, hear, think. They still feel physical pain when they're sick. The mind doesn't stop working. But here's the profound difference. For ordinary people like us, those critical reaction moments create karma. Every unconscious reaction plants seeds for more suffering, perpetuating the cycle. We get angry and plant seeds of more anger. We crave and plant seeds of more craving. The wheel keeps spinning. But an arahant's mind, though still active and responsive, no longer creates new karma. Those jhana reaction moments are completely pure, functional, responsive, but free from greed, aversion, and delusion. The seeds being planted are no longer seeds of suffering. Their mind still moves, still responds, still engages fully with life. But it does so with complete clarity, free from being carried away. No chains are created, no suffering perpetuated. This is freedom within life, to fully engage with all experience, beautiful or difficult, without being enslaved by it. The Buddha said in the Dhammapada, "A tamed mind brings happiness." Taming doesn't mean dominating or controlling or suppressing. It means understanding. It means seeing clearly. It means letting go. It means cultivating this unwavering awareness. Now, a gentle invitation. Sometime today, find just 5 minutes. Sit somewhere quiet. Don't try to stop your mind or make anything special happen. Simply watch. Watch thoughts like clouds drifting by. Watch feelings like waves rising and falling. No judgment, no clinging. Just watching with gentle, curious awareness. This simple act of observing is the beginning of remembering who you really are. The Buddha encouraged direct experience. Come and see. Test this for yourself. Investigate. Discover whether it's true in your own experience. This is my invitation to you, to look clearly at your own mind and discover what's actually true. When you do, you'll find that peace isn't where the mind stops moving. Peace is where you stop being moved by the mind.